Reading passage 3. You should spend about 20 minutes on questions 27 to 40, which are based on reading passage 3 below. Why fairy tales are really scary? Scary tales. Some people think that fairy tales are just stories to amuse children, but their universal and enduring appeal may be due to more serious reasons. People of every culture tell each other fairy tales, but the same story often takes a variety of forms in different parts of the world. In a story of Little Red Riding Hood that European children are familiar with, a young girl on the way to see her grandmother meets a wolf and tells him where she is going. The wolf runs on ahead and disposes of the grandmother, then gets into bed, dressed in the grandmother's clothes, to wait for Little Red Riding Hood. You may think you know the story, but which version? In some version, the wolf swallows up the grandmother, while in others, it locks her in a cupboard. In some stories, Red Riding Hood gets the better of the wolf on her own, while in other, a hunter or a woodcutter hears her cries and comes to her rescue. The universal appeal of the universal appeal of these tales is frequently attributed to the idea that they contain cautionary messages. In the case of Little Red Riding Hood, to listen to your mother and avoiding talking to strangers. It might be what we find interesting about this story is that it's got this survival relevant information in it, says anthropologist Jamie Terani at Durham University in the UK, United Kingdom. But his research suggests otherwise. We have this huge gap in our knowledge about the history and prehistory of storytelling, despite the fact that we know this genre is an incredibly ancient one, he says. That hasn't stopped anthropologists, folklorists, and other academics devising theories to explain the importance of fairy tales in human society. Now, Tehrani has found a way to test these ideas, borrowing a technique from evolutionary biologists. To work out the evolutionary history, development, and relationships among groups of organisms, biologists compare the characteristics of living species in a process called phylogenetic analysis. Serrani has used the same approach to compare related versions of fairy tales and to discover how they have evolved and which elements have survived longest. Serrani's analysis focused on Little Red Riding Hood in its many forms, which include another Western fairy tale known as The Wolf and the Kids, checking for variants of these two tales and similar stories from Africa, East Asia, and other regions. He ended up with 58 stories recorded from oral traditions. Once his phylogenetic analysis had established that they were indeed related, he used the same methods to explore how they have developed and altered over time. First, he tested some assumptions about which aspects of the story alter least as it evolves, indicating their importance. Folklorists believe that what happens in a story is more central to the story than the characters in it, that visiting a relative only to be met by a scary animal in disguise is more fundamental than whether the visitor is a little girl or three siblings or the animal is a tiger instead of a wolf. However, Tehrani found no significant difference in the rate of evolution of incidents compared with the characters. Certain episodes are very stable because they are crucial to the story, but there are lots of other details that can evolve quite freely, he says. Neither did his analysis support the theory that the central version of a story is the most conserved part. He found no significant difference in the flexibility of events there compared with the beginning or the end. But the really big surprise came when he looked at the cautionary elements of the story. Studies on hunter gatherer folk tales suggest that these narratives include really important information about the environment and the possible dangers that may be faced there, stuff that is relevant to, to survival, he says. Yet, in his analysis, such elements were just as flexible as seemingly trivial details. What then is important enough to be reproduced from generation to generation? The answer, it would appear, is fear. Bloodthirsty and gruesome aspects of the story, such as the eating of the grandmother by the wolf, turned out to be the best preserved of all. Why are these details retained by generations of storytellers when other features are not? Terani has an idea. In an oral context, a story won't survive because of one great teller. It also needs to be interesting when it's told by someone who is not necessarily a great storyteller, maybe being swallowed whole by a wolf, then cut out of its stomach alive is so gripping that it helps the story remain popular no matter how badly it's told. Jack Zippis at the University of Minnesota, Minneapolis, is unconvinced by Terani's views on fairy tales. Even if and they are gruesome, they won't stick unless they matter, he says. He believes the perennial theme of the woman as victims in stories like the Little Red Riding Hood explains why they continue to be relevant. But Tehrani points out that although this is often the case in Western versions, it is not always true elsewhere. In Chinese and Japanese versions, often known as the tiger grandmother, the villain is a woman, and in both Iran and Nigeria, the victim is a boy. Matthias Claesen at Aarhus University in Denmark isn't surprised by Tarani's findings. Habits and morals change, but the things that scare us and the fact that we seek out entertainment that is designed to scare us, those are constant, he says. Clayton believes that scary stories teach us what it feels like to be afraid without having to experience real danger, and so build up resistance to negative emotions. So it was the reading, and now you have what you have to do is that questions 27 to 31. Complete each sentence with correct ending A to F. Below, you see these are the givens, option A to F. You don't have to write all these, so you just write A, B, C, D, E, F, and you see what it is, and write the correct. This is unnecessary. 27. In fairy tales, the details of the plot. This is mentioned in C. Option C shows a considerable global variation. And this is matching with C. So Tarani rejects the idea that the useful lessons for life in fairy tales, option B, are the reasons why for their survival. Various theories about the social significance of fairy tales answer this is matching here have been developed without factual basis. Then the question 13, insights into the development of fairy tales, the answer matching here may be provided through methods used in biological research. All the fairy tales analyzed by Tehrani is matching here were originally spoken rather than written. So these answers, this will be given, but these A, B, C, D, you will have to write them like this, and you need sufficient practice to match this part of the sentence to the part of sentence given here in this, okay, jumble options, okay. So you have to select one to you will have to see where this one is matching, okay. As in this, it is matching with C, and you have to write option C. Now we come to the other questions 32 to 36. They are given, answers are given in the, you will have to make selection out of all these. Most probably you will write A, B, C, D only, not the words. But the thing, I have written the words for you to make it easy. Complete the summary using the list of words. We have to using, you see, the list of words. So we have to use them, but most probably you will write A, B, C, D like it is written here. So let's see what it is. Anthropologists, sorry, phylogenetic analysis of Little Red Riding Hood. Terani used techniques from evolutionary biology to find out if You see links, option D, links are given here. Links which aspects of the stories had fewest variations. So F is given here, F. As he believed that these aspects would be the most important ones, contrary to other beliefs, he found that some events, be here, events that were included in a story tended to change over time, and that the middle of the story seemed no more important than the other parts. He was also surprised that parts of the story which seemed to provide some sort of warning. Which one is it? Right in the right here, ABC, warning here. Warning, C. I should have written C as well. I don't know, I forgot. Okay, it's necessary that you should write C as well. I take it for you from here. Yes, come on, C. It is like this. You see C. And then were unimportant. The aspect that he found most important in a story's survival was horror. Option G, you see, horror. Yeah, it should have been. So it is, and now there are some more questions. 36, because we have to do 40 questions. So questions 37 to 40. There are multiple choice options. So choose the correct letter A, B, C, or D. Four statements are given. Write the correct ones. Now 37. What method did Jamie Terani use to test? The answer to this is he looked at many different forms of the same basic story. Then, when discussing Terani's views, Jazz Zippis suggests that features of stories only survive if they have a deeper significance. Why does Terani refer to Chinese and Japanese fairy tales? It is to introduce that Jack Zipp's theory is incorrect. Then what does Matthias Clason believe about fairy tales? They are a safe way of learning to deal with fear. So in this way, this reading part comes to an end. And I wish that you subscribe my channel and press the bell button to get the fresh from me. Thank you for watching. Have a nice time and goodbye.